If you just finished exploring the world in The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, you might be suffering from a sort of Hyrule hangover. After all, Nintendo's expansive open world is full of some of the most unique dungeons, compelling puzzles, and challenging enemies ever created in the last decade. So we are featuring 10 titles which will certainly scratch the same itch while the world waits for the sequel. Let's start with first pick. Genshin Impact. It is a free-to-play gacha game that launched in 2020 and quickly became an addiction for many. In simplest terms, it is the best and the closest game to Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild series. You play as the Traveler, putting together a team of allies, all with their own special powers, exploring the huge land of Tiva to look for your lost twin. It's got the same open-world adventure feel as The Legend of Zelda. You collect recipes that can be cooked up at campfires and kitchens, and the world is full of hidden puzzles and secrets you can uncover with the right powers, and looks utterly stunning. The gacha mechanic might scare some, but it's easy to sink hours into the game and quests without ever reaching for your wallet, and new content is added at a blistering pace. It really keeps the game fresh and fun. Any fans of the Zelda title will be sure to enjoy this free-to-play title newcomer. Immortals Fenyx Rising. Secondly, we have Ubisoft's recently released title, created by the same team that made Assassin's Creed, Odyssey. As well as having many similarities to Odyssey, Fenyx Rising is also a great choice for anyone looking to fill the Breath of the Wild-shaped hole in their life. The game is suitable for a wider age range than Odyssey, so younger players can enjoy it as well as adults. The world might not be as large as that in Breath of the Wild, but the area is very dense and filled with secrets and awesome Greek mythos. The graphics are really good. Pleasant to the eye. Smooth. Don't know why, but sometimes it makes me remind of Spyro the Dragon. The fighting mechanics and UI are excellent. The story is one of the detailed one and full of excitement. The open world for slice and dice lovers out there is massive, with plenty of treasure and areas to reach for you explorers and lore lovers.
The tale of Phoenix be my redemption!
Horizon Zero Dawn. It takes players and drops them into a post-apocalyptic Earth where humans seem to have forgotten to save their progress at about 500 AD. The flora and fauna apparently missed the memo, however, as humans must face off against giant mechanical beasts that are just out and about, and the world bears more than a few scars from humanity's fall from dominance. In lack of a better phrase, Horizon Zero Dawn is essentially PlayStation's answer to Nintendo's bottom. The main difference is the choice of setting for Aloy's epic adventure. Plot the high fantasy background for a post-apocalyptic sci-fi landscape, and the blades for bows. It's almost essentially the same experience. Granted, Horizon might be deeper in terms of crafting and creatures, but the case still rests. Also, it featured one of the best soundtracks and background music I have ever listened on video games ever. Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas. It isn't just a Zelda-like game. It's practically a simple and epic hybrid of Link to the Past and Wind Waker. That being said, it's a fun, inexpensive way to feed the need for puzzles, dungeons, and monster slaying. From the blue tunic to the heirloom sword, there's no question about what inspired the title. It might not be a substitute for the glorious realms of Hyrule, but that doesn't mean it can't be a great. But hey, if players are looking to fill the void left by a Zelda game, then this may be just what they really want to have. Oceanhorn features seafaring, sword-swinging, grass-cutting, vase-throwing, island-exploring, messy hair-having, and ancient monster slaying. It's a fun indie adventure with a lot of bang for your buck, and it's a worthwhile experience regardless. Okami HD. One of the fan favorite amongst gamers, the game puts players in the role of Amaterasu as she restores the life to a painted fantasy world. Gamers and critics alike have compared Okami to Zelda till they're blue in the face for years, so it rightfully deserves a spot on the list. Okami definitely has its own unique qualities, like the hand-painted Japanese art style, deep combat system, and creative character design. Player as Amaterasu travels around the world, helping NPCs, battling hordes of dark spirits, and delving into dungeons as she attempts to bring life back to the cursed land. The way you earn new powers by meeting with mystical figures throughout your journey is reminiscent of the Zelda titles, and Emi even has an annoying, talkative little companion that'll clue you into the next step in your quest. Spiral Knights. This one goes out to all the Zelda fans who ache for another Four Swords adventures. Spiral Knights takes that multiplayer dungeon delving concept and makes it into a full-on MMO. Sure, you're not a tunic-wearing fantasy lad, but playing as what's basically a cross between a Digimon and a knight in sci-fi armor is just as good and way cuter, and the ever-changing Clockwork's dungeon means infinite replayability. The first thing that catches your eye is the cute-looking and delicate colors of this virtual world and these cute knights equals. But behind this cute appearance there are real heroes who kill bosses and save the whole world. You can also take part in PvP battles in the arena in several modes and just create or join your guild to conquer the world together with friends. Plus, it's free. Hob. It is a 3D gorgeous art-style game like Zelda but presented much like a classic top-down adventure. Hob channels that lonesome, wandering spirit in a way that few games beyond the Zelda series itself can. You probably won't know what's going on for a while, but the pull of puzzles and there's a thing over there I wonder how I get to it will spur you onward. At a glance, Hob has quite a lot of similarities with Breath of the Wild. A stylized open world in disrepair full of puzzles and baddies? Check. A quiet and mysterious beginning without much explanation? Double check. Plot-wise, a run-in with a carnivorous plant that eats your arm and introduces you to a mechanical appendage that comes to define most of the gameplay. It tells you very little, but it shows you a lot. It's such a confident design, and it works. Blossom Tales. Ever wonder what would happen if Princess Zelda took the reins of a game for a change? Your wish is granted in this little ode to the 16-bit adventure game. Blossom Tales takes a familiar fairy tale setting, a layout inspired by Link to the Past, and a pixel art style that deserves framing and turns it all into a fun and colorful action-adventure epic. This tale is brimming with girl power, as it tells the story of a king that has been cursed into a deep sleep by his evil brother and a newly adorned knight named Lily who takes up arms to save the kingdom. This game is a classic RPG in feeling, sound, and 8-bit pixel glory, but it is much more modern in its expansive open world and cheeky nods to recent games. It's a fresh new take on a familiar vibe and may cause players to stop counting the days until Breath of the Wild 2 while they enjoy a nostalgic blast of retro sounds and simple sword slashing. It'll do. What if Zelda, but funny? It'll do takes Zelda conventions and casts them in a humorous light. The top-down adventure puts you in control of a snarky young heroine as you battle cute creatures and explore underground dungeons. Aside from the focus on jokes, the biggest difference between It'll Do and the other Zelda clones on this list is its huge focus on block-pushing puzzles. There are a lot of block-pushing puzzles here. Still, it's a small price to pay for an open world to explore at your leisure, gaining access to new items which allow you to explore previously closed-off areas, and a story that's bound to put a smile on your face. A sequel, It'll Do 2, is also available, but we still recommend the predecessor over new one. Hyper Light Drifter. For a more traditional Zelda-inspired experience, there are few games that recreate the adventurous atmosphere other than Hyper Light Drifter. This game does the absolute minimum when it comes to guidance, leaving the player to make their own conclusions and decisions. But still, it's an excellent throwback to the days of fantastic 16-bit adventures. Of all the games on this list, Hyper Light Drifter may be the one most likely to make you grind your teeth in frustration. A neon-tinted adventure set in a universe that's equal parts fantasy and sci-fi, it is full of mystery and challenges. There's a bit less emphasis on puzzles, but the game makes up for it with an intriguing world that begs you to explore and uncover its secrets. But really, the main draw here is the combat. It's fast and fierce, but as long as you're prepared, you'll make it out okay. Maybe. And that wraps up our list of best Legend of Zelda like PC games. Hope you found some new picks for yourself. If you liked our list, don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this in future. See you next time.